Good evening, all. How are you tonight? I hope you're well and fine. That is not a song I'm telling. Good evening, all. I do hope you're well. I do hope you're doing just fine. We'll start here. I know it's 9, but we'll start in about a minute. Just give it a chance to get that notification out. If you are on Facebook and you tend not to want to watch things like this on Facebook because when you're on Facebook, people message you and all of that, get distracted. Catch me on YouTube. On YouTube. And you can be there and watch and not have to worry about any distractions. Nobody will message you on YouTube and all of those some unsightly things. All right, it's 9:01 Central Standard Time, wherever you may be in the United States or the world. I do have a few people on my Facebook page in other countries, and you're joining us or watching this at some point. We appreciate you and hope this will be informative as well. If you've never caught a Thursday broadcast, we call it Let's Chat. I do some interaction with the audience as I see comments pop up, and it's befitting to the topic. I will interact. If you're on Facebook, the people on YouTube can't see your comments, so I will try to indicate. I don't always explain this, and I really should. I'll try to indicate that that's a Facebook comment that I'm responding to. I can now YouTubers who comment, I can actually share their comments, and you've probably seen me do that. And that way, those who are on Facebook who can't see the YouTube comment would actually be able to, if they're relative to the topic, would be able to do so. So that being said, let's get cracking into this particular topic. There really should be no controversy here, but for some reason the word sex among grown folks causes problems for some. Some are like little little children, and they get giddy and bless your hearts, love you. But then they're the ones I'm talking about are the ones who just the subject alone gets them all touchy. Because you come from a day and a time, and I say that respectfully, you come from a day and a time that word not supposed to be used in the public square, and social media sites are about as public a square you can get. So you're watching in the privacy of your home or wherever you may be, but that word's going to come up because it's literally in the title. So it's what we're talking about this evening. And I'm going to talk about this with my son 15 feet away from me, 15, 20 feet away from me, playing his game. Because it's not actually about sex. It's actually about a conversation about sex. And maybe multiple conversations. And so that's why you see my disclaimer. I put it on my information on Monday or Tuesday when I post it. Let me say it out loud so you can hear me. We're not going to have a moral conversation. And I know somebody will come on later, and because I am a minister and all of that, a Christian, and we're not even supposed to be having sex, because they'll misunderstand completely. Hence, premarital sex counseling. Maybe I should have put the counseling in all caps. Counseling. Everything we've been doing for the last now, well into the next month. We started in May, and now we're 2 weeks into 2 Thursdays into June. We're still talking about this because it was the first last week. I want to make sure you understand this is about counseling. This is about advice. And these subjects that we're looking at are about advice. So if you get nervous when you see the word sex, S-E-X, bless your hearts, especially if you're past the age of 18. I'm not really sure what your problem is, What is your problem? I love you, but what's your problem? Seriously, like if you can't handle that word, I don't know what's wrong. I do ask on the flip side that you be respectful in your comments. Obviously, others can see it, not just me. And we want to be mindful that we're not using I know all the slang terms, maybe some I don't know, but let's kind of be a bit more, not clinical. Let's fall a little short of clinical, but let's not talk like we're street. I'm not going to talk street and use colloquial anyway. I'm not going to use a lot of slang. So I'm asking you, let's be adult, let's be mature as we talk about the subject, because again, the word sex does cause people to get really nervous. Even if they do it or they have done it, they still get nervous about it, which, okay, I'm going to leave you alone. So, premarital sex counseling. So, for my Christian friends, let me say this: premarital doesn't mean sex before marriage. What premarital means is something coming before, and in this case, sex counseling. See what I did there? So premarital sex? No. Premarital sex counseling. Sex counseling, not premarital sex. Now, that's the second time I'm covering it because I literally know that I have people, and I'm not saying nobody's name, but I have people on Facebook who think they're a better Christian than I am. As a matter of fact, they think they're better Christians than every Christian they've ever met. As a matter of fact, they think they're Jesus, or at least one step down from Jesus, whatever that looks like. So the moment you say anything that doesn't fit their religious framework, their spiritual framework, their biblical understanding, they're ready to pounce. They don't comment on nothing else, but they're ready to pounce on a subject like this. So if you're watching me live or watching this back, and you know I'm talking about you, stay with me and see if I'm not true to premarital sex counseling. Okay? And if you want to go religious on me, my inbox is ready for you, and so is my Bible. So is my Bible, and I'm pretty good at using it. I hope you're ready. Hope we got that out the way. Okay. I'm sorry, but I know people. I've been doing this a long time. I've been talking to people about subjects like this for a long time. I'm not obviously afraid of them, hence the subject. So the first thing we got to talk about is the fear. We got to talk about the fear. I've been talking about it for almost 10 minutes now. Well, technically 6 minutes. There is a fear, a taboo, some kind of cap that people have on their mind. And it's not necessarily the individual's fault. Again, I was raised in a religious context, in a spiritual religious context, and I know about that stuff. And while my parents were not of the sort, and I don't say this word to be mean, they were not prudes, though they didn't necessarily engage us in the conversation about sex, but they were not prudes either. Yet I come from an organization, I've spoken about it openly many times, the Churches of God in Christ, or COGIC. Some still call holiness, which I wish they would stop, considering it's not filled with holy people. Anyway, but there is a fear and a trepidation that comes. What's so sad? Let me talk to my Bible friends, my Christian friends, just a second. Stay with me. Don't leave me if you don't believe in that, but just stay with me. I think you'll appreciate this comment. Don't you find it strange that in Genesis chapter 1, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, i.e., have sex. Be fruitful means go get some fruit off a tree? No. Be fruitful means get busy, and that's about as much as I'm going to use, have relations, and have children. Right there in the Bible. Have relations and have children. And replenish the earth. So right off the cuff, let's just settle this issue. The Bible isn't afraid of the subject of sex, which means God isn't afraid of the subject of sex, because the one who created human beings, and actually all mammals, created them to have what we call sex or sexual intercourse for the sake of reproduction. We are the ones who created the taboo environment. We are the ones that make this subject uncomfortable. It's our fault, not his. So let's not blame for all of those non-Christians who consider us to be prudes. To some extent, you're right, but not because of our God. I want to clarify that real quick. It ain't our God's fault that we are prudes. It's our religion's fault, not our God. Our God flat out said through Moses, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. And I didn't get here by somebody pulling me out of a tree. I'm not a seed that was planted in the ground and I sprouted up like a turnip. No. I am produced by a male and a female who came together doing what we call having sex, sexual intercourse, and I exist. And my son is produced by the same way. And if he has children, I'll have grandchildren by the same way. So let's deal with the first thing that I believe is the reason why people won't get counseling at all about any sex, is because it's a taboo subject. And we have to address it right at the pink elephant in the room, whatever you want to call it. Let's just deal with it right now. Sex has got to become a subject that we are comfortable. I'm not saying therefore walk around or get on the public square and just talk raunchy or unnecessary. See, don't twist what people say. Listen carefully. I'm saying we've got to remove the taboo nature of the discussion. Discussion, not the action, discussion of the discussion. Now, I'm not going to get into where you're doing your activity. Don't turn it into that. I am talking about the discussion. Now, you ain't got to go to an open forum. I'm not saying you got to go to a conference, but I'm saying if you are a couple, and yes, I'm going to talk about it in respects to marriage. I'm not here to make a judgment. I got to keep doing this because I know who's on my Facebook page. I'm going to be honest. This is why I'm doing this, because I know who's on my Facebook page. I know many of them from a religious standpoint, and I know some of the misunderstandings they have. So please excuse me if I got to repeat myself 100 times, because I already know every time I even use the term, people get nervous. I'm nervous for them. Literally, because you don't supposed to talk about this. Yes, we do. There are marriages, and as I said in my write-up, I believe that this subject is right there under finance. Finance still remains one of the main subjects that cause relationships to fall apart. And I said in pre-engagement conversation, that's what, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, that you really need to have some sessions, some pre-engagement, premarital counseling sessions about finance, about your health, right? About your, finance in terms of your economic, and even in terms of your debt, all that kind of thing. I'm not going back through that. I left this one isolated because I really believe it's one that we kind of shelve. We just put over there, and so now I got to do this. Okay, here we go. So let's deal with the fact that we got a bunch of notions out there, okay? And I know this is where things are going to get interesting, but stay with me. First of all, any notion that all men want sex more than women, than all women, any generality is wrong, just by nature. That's wrong. I have had many conversations. Don't ask me, I'm none of your business. In the years that I've been single in particular, I've had conversation. I'm talking about conversation counseling, advice. I've had many conversations, and I have come to discover that there are women that exist on the planet that are as desirous for intimacy, I'm going to use their word in this case, which includes sex, as much as, if not more than, men. So the taboos we've got to do away with. I've also had conversation with women and with men that have made it clear that men are not all men are as interested in engaging in intimacy, including sex, even when it comes to marriage. You know me, I don't waste time. 15 minutes in and I'm already pop. I got them up. See, we got to engage this conversation, and the reason why I'm obviously advocating for premarital sex counseling is because there are those who insist on holding on to old ideas that men are only about sex 24/7. That's all they ever think about. They're working on a car, they're underneath a motor, but all they ever think about is sex, even though that motor could fall and crush them. They're working up on high-rise columns and dealing with 10,000 volts passing through electrical columns, but all they're ever thinking about is sex. That's stupid. They're running Fortune 500 companies, but all they're ever thinking about, I got to stand in front of people with major mental illness, but supposedly as a man, all I'm ever thinking about is sex. That's nonsense. That's the taboo stuff. Those are the things that we have allowed to be said. And so then when a person gets engaged and they want to get married, if they don't open and start discussing these things, they may very well be looking at each other, loving each other, want to marry each other, but they're not addressing these taboos. They're not addressing these assumptions. And so because they don't want to have a conversation, even though they may want to have an interaction, they don't want to have a conversation. They end up getting married and not laying these types of things bare. Is that too much for you? Too early? Should I have waited till 9:30? Is that too much right away? Look, I'm too old for nonsense. I really am. And while I'm not on the verge of getting married, I want to help those who might be to cut to the chase. Not be mean. You ain't got to be cruel. Look, yeah, Gabe said, let's cut to the chase. What you want? No, you ain't got to go at it like that. I can, because I'm not talking to anybody in particular. But no, you want to be gentle. If it's your fiance, you don't want to be like, look, we need to have this talk. I want it every day, 10 times a day. No, I'm not saying go at it like that. But what I'm saying is start with, if you want some advice, here's some advice. Start with your own assumptions. Man or woman, again, no disrespect to same-sex couples. You know me. I don't deal with same-sex couples in that way. I know they can get married legally, but I don't deal with them that way. Go find someone else who does. I don't. On my broadcast, marriage is man, woman. Call me old, call me antiquated, get off my page. Enough said. Call me whatever you want, but ain't nobody coming to block me. Thank you. Bye. Because if I find out who you are, I'm going to block you myself. Hopefully I don't have to say that again. So I'm talking about a man and a woman. Okay. So as men and women who want to get married, one of the subjects that I firmly believe you need to get some counsel, some advice about, and part of that advice needs to be any particular assumptions you have about the other gender. You got to do it. Women, are you under the impression that all your male fiance wants is sex? Have you been a person who has advocated the thought? Have you postulated? Have you hypothesized? Have you walked around? Have you spread these types of things through your social media platforms? Have you shared memes? Have you been around with your girls, sipping and drinking and smoking and whatever you're doing, shopping, and said, yeah, girl, because you know all they ever want is this, and now you're engaged. And now you think you can just turn that button off and you won't see your husband, your potential future husband that way. You're lying to yourself. You need to stop, girl, and stop, woman, and take a minute to address the fact that you think all men are about all of this. Because if you go into that marriage thinking that, and one day you don't feel like it, and he does, guess what's going to come out of your mouth? Exactly. You're going to tell him all men ever want is this. And that's just an assumption that you have. Assumption. Men, we are not exempt. If you're walking around with the assumption that the only way you're going to get something is you got to buy her everything, no matter how much she tells you no. So now you make statements that make her uncomfortable because you keep causing her to believe that she's no different than all the other women that you've come across. So you keep making statements about her sexuality. I'm stealing the meaning back of that word. I'm going to use it according to what it really means. So you keep making statements about her sexuality. She may enjoy a healthy interaction sexually when the time comes, but you keep making statements because you're hurt, because you're bruised, because your ego is battered, or you've had bad experiences. I'm not trying to hurt you, my brother, but at some point, before you say I do, you need to deal with your assumptions about women and find out exclusively, explicitly who she is. Oh, I said a mouthful. But wait, Gabe, don't you think you ought to go one step back? Yes, you're right. And so I'm going to do it right now. Before you even talk about the other gender, how about yourself? Do you really know what you want sexually? Do you know? Don't tell me about positions and all that nonsense. No. Do you know? Do you know who you are? And men, let me say right here, this is where we go into a brag. I'm not talking about all the ones in the past that you knocked out and all that kind of stupid nonsense. That's garbage. And you know it's garbage. I'm a dude. I know it's garbage. We fellas, we know that's garbage. That's unnecessary bragging. Stop that stuff. Stop that stuff. If you pass the age of 19, stop that stuff. Don't even get into it. I'm not talking about bragging about your conquest. That's foolishness. What I'm talking about is, as you are going through this life, and if you are thinking about getting married, have you really stopped and examined yourself? And are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go, men. I'm talking. Ladies, listen to me now. Men, have you asked yourself, do I really want to be having sex a lot when I get married? Or is that just I haven't had sex, and so when I get into a relationship, I'm going to want to have sex? That's two different things. Let me do it again. Have you really stopped to ask yourself if your drive, I know we love that word, if your drive is as strong as you keep telling yourself, as you keep telling everybody around you, as your memes on your social media platforms keep suggesting? Fellas, I've had conversations, and I was, if I had some pearls, I would have been clutching them. Some of the conversations I've had with ladies who were married, who are no longer married, about their wanting to interact with their spouse or with their boyfriends. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, they were looking for a higher volume of interaction. Did I say that well? And their volume of interaction was not meeting their expectations. They were getting a whole lot less. Matter of fact, I literally just had a conversation 2 hours, 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. Person was telling me they were married, and they were sharing with me. People share stuff with me. Look, I don't say names, obviously. And the person was a female sharing with me that in her marriage, she had this level, he had this level. Now, I don't want nobody to tell on themselves. You ain't got to share about yourself. Listen to me. Men, listen to me. Ladies, listen to me. You've got to get the first thing out the box about this subject. There are women, and I believe far more women that want to admit it because they were raised in an era and a day and a time. Now, I'm 48. I'm almost 50. So I am keenly aware of those who are 60. And because I am in ministry, people who are 70. And some a little older, you know. Tell me what they want to tell me. That's all I'm going to say. And I've had people tell me, 50, 60, 70, 80, Gabe, this is my situation. This is my history. This is what I've gone through. And that includes in my marriage or in my relationships, and it includes their talk about volume and quality of interaction. We're coming to that in a minute. Volume and quality of interaction. I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be appropriate. And I've had more women than men. Listen to me. I've had more women than men tell me that they weren't seeing and experiencing what they thought was going to happen because they had the preconceived idea that men wanted things more and wanted that interaction more than women. And they were highly disappointed. I'm not suggesting that's why they got divorced, but I'm telling you it was a real issue, and you know it is because I don't ever ask. I have never one time asked, whether just having a conversation or a counsel, and every single woman that ever told me, including the one I was just talking to 3 hours ago, volunteered the information. It's none of my business. I don't want to know. But I've had many women tell me, age range probably 30, 40 years, and everyone that has told me tells me, Gabe, the volume ain't what I anticipated. I don't think I've had one ever tell me, Gabe, he was all over me, and I was like, look, dude, get off me. No, quite the opposite. So we're going to have to deal with ourselves, men and women. Men. Now, again, I'm 48 years old. So I got to, you see the grades, right? You see the grades. Men, we got to get real to ourselves. I'm not talking about telling women anything just yet. I mean, men, we have got to, now, I know men don't like people telling them nothing. And y'all probably thinking, man, Gabe, what are you doing? Well, I'm trying to help us out, fellas. Yeah, and I know women can hear me. I understand. And I know you think I should just go to men directly. No, because you need women to be understanding and to recognize that this is an issue that a lot of times we don't necessarily deal with. And ladies, just because I said that doesn't give you some kind of permission to attack us. Like, why would you do that? Why would you attack your fiance? Why would you attack the person that you would hope to maybe marry one day? Because you're hearing me talk. That's crazy. That makes no sense. Don't do that. Why would you attack each other anyway about anything? Matter of fact, what am I talking about? But there has to be a reckoning. Look, as individuals, let me do it this way. As individuals, there must be a reckoning. You really need to get real with your own self before you even get engaged. You need to get real with your own self about where you stand, yes, financially, who you are in your emotional disposition, in your spiritual religious disposition, what's your worldview, right? All those major areas. But if you're talking about an intimate relationship, a romantic relationship, you need to do a self-assessment. There it is, a self-assessment on your sexuality. And I know you think that word has been stolen and only means whether or not you're heterosexual or not. No, the word sexuality deals with the whole scope of one's sexual self. Unfortunately, it has been stolen and misused to only mean whether or not you're heterosexual or you're not. No, that word deals with the full scope of your sexual person. More than just whether or not a man and a woman or a man and a man and a woman. No, it's the full scope of, which means if you're talking about getting married one day, You might not be engaged. You might even be in a relationship, but just one day. Are you up on who? Now, I'm going to turn a corner. Stay with me. Are you up on who you are? Well, Gabe, how am I supposed to know? I'm not married. Come on. I'm not talking to children. If you've ever been in an intimate space, you know what that takes. You stay with me. You know the physicality of that interaction. Men, I hate to beat on us, but I got to slap us a couple of times real quick. And it's going to be quick. Pat, pat, pat. Ready? If you're dealing with high blood pressure and hypertension, as I do, I've talked openly about it. It is one of those medical conditions that can cause what we call ED, erectile dysfunction. Men, you have to assess yourself. Now, if just stay with me a second. If you know, because we don't have to be in the company of a female to have a situation occur, right? So if you know you don't get any erections at all, none, ever, I don't care how old you are, you may have an erectile dysfunction issue. Now, I'm trying to do this not clinically, but I'm trying to help you understand. So if you don't wake up in the morning, I think we got the picture, right? You don't have no time, no moments, nothing. I'm not talking about masturbation. I'm just saying you don't have any moments of any sustained anything, blood flow to your private area. There you go. You might have to talk to your doctor, especially if you have high blood pressure, you're dealing with diabetes, you're taking any kind of major medicines. Listen to me now. If you're taking any kind of major medicines, fellas, it does have a potential impact. Get it now? So if you want to get married at some point and you want your partner to have pleasure with you, not just you guys go on trips together, not just you sit and watch the sunset, wonderful stuff. I've done that. You walk on a beach, okay, cool, if that's your thing. You go on a vacation, wonderful. But if you want her to enjoy your company as your companion in all regards, don't you think, fellas, that you owe it to yourself and to the potential mate to get those things checked out? Oh, man, I ain't done. I told you, pat, pat, pat. And if you don't want to take any kind of medication, see how I did that? You know what I mean? Nothing prescribed. If you don't want to take what is prescribed for that issue, then have you looked at your weight? I've talked openly about my own weight. Have you thought about exercise? Gabe, I thought this was premarital sex counseling. Absolutely. This is absolutely premarital sex counseling. I'm literally right now giving premarital sex counseling. Men, we got to do better. We've got to work out. We've got to get our energy levels up. I'm not saying you got to go spend a bunch of money you don't have, buying probiotics and all that stuff advertised on TV. Change your diet, lose some weight. You ain't got to have a six-pack and be chiseled chest, because I may never get to that place, but do some things to change your health. Because guess what? Sex is as much a health issue as it is a relational romantic issue. There it is. I could stop right now. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Sex is as much about your health. Ladies, I'm coming to you. Sex is as much about your health as it is about your intimate enjoyment in the relationship. And if you're unhealthy, it's not likely to be as enjoyable as it possibly can be with your potential mate. How do you know, Gabe, it's a health issue? Because it's a physical thing. But sex begins in the mind. You can say all that you want all day. I'm not talking about romantic sentimentality. I'm talking about the physical interaction between a man and a woman. Yes, married, unless I guess somebody gonna need me to say it, but ultimately the physical interaction between a man and a woman. And I'm trying to prepare you to have a healthy relational life in this regard. And if you're going to have a healthy relational life, you need to have a healthy life. Now, the first thing I did, I'm almost done. The first thing I did was I started with the thinking. I used words like fear and taboo. Okay, what fear are you talking about? The fear of performance, men. The fear of performance. The notion that you may not be able to perform, but if you're concerned about performance, it actually can be corrected. This is not a health issue. See what I did? I said it is as much about health as it is about intimacy. And if you want to be able to perform in an intimate space with your spouse, deal with the health issue and deal with it as a health issue. Yeah. Get your health together. And I wish somebody would be brave enough to argue with me. I wish somebody would tell me that it has nothing to do with health, and they do just fine. Breathing hard, and I'm not trying to be inappropriate, but let's be grown for a few seconds, can we? Breathing hard. And I don't mean because it's so involved. No, it's because you're out of breath. It's because you don't have the cardiovascular ability to be able to perform. And I ain't just talking about men on this one. You don't have the cardiovascular ability to be able to perform. And so for as enjoyable as it could be, it can't be because you're not in good health. Not just good shape, good health. I'm not talking about being skinny. I'm not talking about being chiseled. I'm talking about being healthy. Especially us. Especially us. Hey, you don't have a right to, yeah, I do. It's my page. Yes, I do. I got health issues for which if I'm taking that medicine for blood pressure, then I get married, my spouse needs to know. My fiance would need to know. I would have to tell her, well, babe, sit on down. I might not be able to perform whenever you're ready. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'm taking Lostratan, 10 milligrams, and it messes with my blood pressure. It helps my blood pressure, but it messes with my erection. Uncomfortable? Sounds uncomfortable? Yeah. But that's the kind of, if I'm not going to do right by my health, if I'm not going to improve my situation to potentially get off the medicine, then I'm going to have, if I was to get engaged, I would have to have that conversation. I'd have to tell her. And then if she said, well, Gabe, I'm sorry, but I need somebody who can be healthy. And when I'm ready to go, I need them to be there. You know what, sweetie? I'm not going to hit her with some guilt trip about love. What about love? What about love? What is that nonsense? If I supposedly love her, then wouldn't I want to do right by my own health so that I can show that and express that intimately with her? Because isn't the very commercial for B and C and all those jokers talking about to be able to perform when the time comes, when the time is right? That's literally what I just said. So if I don't want to have to get that prescription, fellas, then maybe I should start doing the stuff right now. Is this too deep for you? Well, this is premarital sex counseling. Counseling. Ladies, your health matters too. Your health matters too. Ladies, you need to reconcile. Men, really, testosterone. Ladies, estrogen. If you're walking around already convinced that I want to get married, but he better leave me alone and catch me on anniversary, catch me on birthdays and Father's Day and, Mother's Day or something like that, catch me on Hanukkah. Let me ask you a question, ladies. while you talking about, I ain't really all about that sex thing. You really don't realize, or let me ask you, have you had your estrogen levels checked recently? Oh, yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking you. You want to get married and you have the belief and the assumption that men are all about sex, 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 sex. Well, then what are you going to do? Stay single and complain and become an old biddy sitting in the corner mad? Yeah, I said it. Tell me something. Get mad at me. Drop me. I'm not going to die. I'm going to keep on doing what I do. I'll be back next Thursday with another broadcast. But let's get real. If I could talk about the men, I got to come to you in the premarital sex counseling. Can a counselor ask you, what's your estrogen levels? Are your estrogen levels operating at the right rate? Are you at the right levels? Now, you may have some thyroid issues. Oh, Gabe, you really going to? Yeah. You have some health issues. You may have some diabetes. You may have some asthma issues. Men as well, asthma issues. If you've got these kind of issues, what's your cardiovascular like? Gabe, I thought you said premarital sex. Yes. Because sex is as much a physical health thing as it is an intimacy thing. Don't be prepared to get married already with your speeches together, ladies. Nope, I got my headache. What's causing your headache? Are your hormones off? Yeah, I'm saying it because you'll slap your husband for saying it. You can't slap me. So I'm going to say it. Are your hormones off? I'm not talking about time of the month for 3 to 7 days. Stop that nonsense. 3 to 7 days ain't 30 days. 3 to 7 days ain't 28 days in February. 3 to 7 days is not a month. Stop using that as your crutch that you lean on, but you want to get married to a man that you believe is going to want to be intimate with you beyond the honeymoon. Beyond the honeymoon. He might want to be intimate with you, and I'm using intimate for you, ladies. He may want to be intimate with you, which includes the final chapter, the climax, final chapter. And you keep denying him the final chapter, or you have no intentions of reaching the final chapter. You understand the word I mean? I'm clever with it. You just want to have all the first chapters. You want to have the monologue, but you don't want to get to the epilogue. Because the truth of the matter is, your hormones are out of control. There may be a real health issue there, and you need to rectify with yourself before you even start talking about getting into a relationship. You need to square things away with you and your personal care provider. Oh, yeah, I went there. What are you getting married for? Just be friends. Have you a nice male friend that you can talk to, and you guys can go to the movies. Go have some dinner. What do you want to get married for? And if you hold to the idea that marriage is where now you know, for those of you who are my religious spiritual friends, that marriage is the proper place for you to have intimacy, but then you don't even want to have it with any regularity whatsoever. What are you getting married for? Well, I want companionship. Go get you a dog. Go get you a cat. Go get you a turtle. Get you some friends. Go out and go bowling. No, you get married because in that particular relationship, it's where you get to do something specifically, and God blesses it. The bed is undefiled. You get to do this particular thing. Now, I ain't stupid. I know it's happening outside of that. Stay with me. I'm talking. You get to do something special, something unique and intimate with this one person till your body start working or you die. But then you get into the relationship. Now, I understand in relationships, in marriages, stuff happens. But I'm talking premarital. You already going in, but you don't really want to say nothing to him because, you know, he might just say, well, that's not my cup of tea, and I really need this. And then you're going to what, call him a jerk because he's willing to be honest? What are you going to do, call him names? You're going to call him a dog? You're going to say all he ever want to do and all men ever want to do? What are you getting married for? What do you want to get married for? If you have no intentions whatsoever to engage beyond just holding hands and walking on the beach and watching the sunset. Watch all the sunsets you want by yourself, or get you some friends and get together and watch sunsets, schedule to watch sunsets. But when you're talking about the man that you want to be exclusive and specific to you, what is the one particular act that's exclusive? See, you never thought about it, did you? But the one exclusive act, suppose, and if you don't believe in God, I don't really know what your standard is, but as a Christian, the one exclusive specific act in a marriage, it actually sex. It's not money. It's not buying a house. It's not buying a car. It's not going on vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, sex. That's, biblically speaking, the one exclusive thing. The bed is undefiled in marriage. So if you don't want to do the one exclusive thing, men or women, what in the world do you even want to get married for? I said it, and I promise you, nobody can offer me an actual challenge. Because if you tell me companionship, the word companionship is synonymous with friendship. I don't care that you have a connotation. The denotation of companionship is friendship. Don't they call the dog you get a comfort dog or whatever they call that a companion? So don't come at me like I don't know vocabulary. If you want a specific companion that is unique to you, then you're talking about marriage. And if you're talking about marriage, the thing that is exclusive or supposed to be exclusive is actually sex. It's not what you do with your money. It's not what you do sitting on a beach. It's watching the sunset. No, you can watch the sunset with your children. You can walk on the beach with your children. You can walk on the beach with your auntie, your uncle, your neighbor. It's sex, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're not prepared to deal with this subject, what in the world do you even want to get married for in the first place? Seriously. Well, Gabe, I don't want to grow old by myself. So then make friends, and then you won't grow old by you. I know what you mean, but you're not thinking it through, which is why you're still single, because you're not ready to have these tough conversations. You want to have that exclusive companion that you can call your husband or wife, but you don't want to have the conversations that might cause them to distance themselves from you. Well, that's just wrong on a whole lot of levels. Get over it and start working through it. Work through. Ask yourself, what am I really looking at in terms, not just volume? I don't know why people ask the question, how many times? That's stupid to me, because sex in marriage, for those who've ever been married, is something that happens. You don't schedule on Tuesday, okay, at 8:30, I should be off work, see you at home, unless you're talking about something that I don't want to get into, a romantic evening. I get that. But it really is just something, you really love each other, you're into each other, and when you're in each other's company, I have to cut it there because I do have a 12-year-old. I'm going to stop right there, but you get my point. You enjoy each other's company, and sex is one of the opportunities or very exclusive, special ways that you get to express that. It's a very, very special way that you get to express this very intimate, one-on-one particular thing in the marriage. See what I did there? In the marriage. Having a meal together. You'll eat lunch and breakfast and dinner together for 50 years. But sex is the one thing that when you don't have dinner or before dinner, see, I'm trying not to do that before, after, during. It's that particular thing. When your finances is low, when your finances is high, when you eat McDonald's and when you eat steak. You see where I'm going with this? But you're not going to have that kind of relationship, ladies and gentlemen. And notice, I didn't go religious on you. Oh, I mentioned the Bible because I know who my audience is. But notice, I didn't go religious on you because I don't have to. I don't have to. I've given some thought to this stuff. I don't get on here and talk in front of this camera until I have. And I've had conversations with women and men who talk about volume, and I'm sitting there, no, what you're really talking about is, what you're really admitting is that you're healthy. What you're really saying is, no, you may not be an Adonis, you may not be a cover girl, or me and you may not have a six-pack, but what you're saying is you have a fairly healthy view of yourself, and you want to express that healthy view to somebody you're in. Come on, tell me I'm wrong. Talk to me. Tell me I'm wrong. You have a healthy view. Gabe, you're saying that a person who wants to have a high volume, see, you still want to go to number of times. I'm not going to put no number of times on something that is supposed to be intimate and exclusive inside a marriage. Stop doing that. That's that next thing we've got to remove. Stop this nonsense about 4 to 5 times a week, and it's only happening 2 times a week and 1 time a week. Now, I understand once or twice a week is an indication of something, but it ain't the number of times. It is what it indicates. Somebody is not healthy. Woo! Let me talk to my married couples. If y'all only engaging each other in a mechanical way, even if it's 8 times a week, but it's scheduled and everybody just kind of laying there and yeah, and you brag on faking it. I can't go as deep as I want to, and you're bragging on faking it. There is someone who is not healthy, and it may not be physical health. It may be emotional health, which yes, matters as well. But I get the sneaky suspicion, if you start working on that physical health and you start breathing better and you start feeling better, maybe you drop a handful of pounds, you start eating a little better, and your energy, woo, you don't need an energy drink now. You ain't even got to have that cup of coffee. Man, you're feeling just naturally better. You got endorphins, you got estrogen, ladies, and testosterone men dumping all into your system, and you ain't even near the opposite sex. You working out and you feeling that burst of energy. Oh man, you ain't gonna have to be mechanical. Now you think about what I'm telling you. This has something to do with who you select now. You see what I did right there? So now, what's the likelihood that you're going to select somebody who is unhealthy? And I don't mean they're plus size. No, I don't do that. Because I know some plus size men and women. I'll leave it right there. Who don't have no problems, no energy problems. They don't have no breathing problems, even though they may be, quote, plus size. Some like to call themselves fun size, but anyway. So the reality of it is, if you've got the right healthy view, you've got your as healthy a body as you can manage and continue to improve, and then you get yourself together emotionally. What does that mean? Here's some premarital sex counseling. Ready? What if you've had some issues with abuse? Have you gotten the proper counseling, men and women, for those things, those sexual abuses, those physical abuses that you've gone through? Come on. If you know that every time a man in particular, or a woman as well, in rare cases, touches you, it makes you feel uncomfortable, you're not going to be healthy mentally, and therefore, physically, you're going to withhold. Gabe, is that what it is? It's very possible that you've got some scarring, that you've got some emotional scar tissue. Listen to, I'm going a little deep, I know, but I'm almost done. You may have some remaining emotional scar tissue that has not healed. Some breaches, some gaps in between your desire sexually, intimately, and the actual activity. And so when those birthdays and anniversaries come, you start getting sullen. You start withdrawing. You try to be cheery because it's the anniversary of or the wedding day is coming, right? You set the wedding day. You've got the 6-month anniversary of when you guys met and all that goofy stuff y'all do. Yeah, I called it goofy. It's the 1-year anniversary, and you guys have set to marry on the 1-year anniversary of when you met. And you see her, fellas, drawing back from you. You see him, sister, drawing back from you. And it ain't got you thinking, what am I doing wrong? What am I saying? Have you ever stopped to think cold feet might not be she's trying to figure out whether or not you're going to be the right mate in terms of your economics, or you're trying to figure out she's going to be the right mate in terms of her family structure. No, it may be that you know that when the honeymoon comes, it's going to be time to perform, and you don't feel like you're up to par, but it may not be physically up to par. It may not be necessarily mentally, but it could be emotionally. You may have some legitimate emotional scar tissue from a spurned, you might have been a spurned spouse. Somebody just threw you away. They cheated. They had extramarital engagement, and it just caused you to have a post-traumatic stress event. When you look in the mirror, you've been single, so you think, oh no, I'm good. But the moment a man starts talking to you, a woman shows any interest, you start feeling this. Oh, I deal with this stuff every day. You start feeling the symptoms. You start feeling anxiety. You start feeling stress. Even when you are watching the sunset, even when you are walking hand in hand, you're feeling nervous. You're evasive. You won't make eye contact. Am I talking to somebody right now? You might be watching this 2 years from now, but am I walking down your street? If I am, listen to me, ma'am. Listen to me, sir. You need premarital sex counseling. But Gabe, what if it wasn't a sexual situation? It's going to show up in the physical environment. And what is the one thing a husband and wife does that is exclusive to them, or at least supposed to be? Sex. Sex. Gabe, he doesn't touch me anymore because he's afraid he can't respond. No, he's cheating on me. He may eventually, but that may not be the case in the beginning. Now, there may be things, again, arguments and disputations and all of I get that. But I'm just saying, leading into relationship, isolating this subject unto itself. I'm challenging you, but I'm also praying for you. I know you want to get married, and he's a really nice dude. She's a really wonderful lady. And you really don't want to bring this subject up, even though you hear every word I'm saying, and you know there's a gnawing in your gut because you guys haven't had the conversation, and maybe you've seen that drawing back, that trilling up, and you're just wanting to just explain it away. Don't explain it away. Deal with it gently, respectfully. Be kind. Don't be mean. Be kind. But start with yourself first. And some of you know exactly where I'm going. The scripture says, deal with the beam before you deal with your brother or your sister's mote. Get that beam out of your eye. If you know you haven't done your inventory on yourself, even about your sexuality, and I don't mean just heterosexual. No, I mean, I really don't want to interact a lot intimately. Don't be bothering me. I work all the time. Don't be chasing me. Why she always wants something, Gabe? If that's you, I'm just going to go and say it. Why do you even want to get married? Really? I mean, honestly, I'm talking directly to whoever is listening to me, and they know this question is for them. Why are you trying to get married? Why do you want to get married? If you want somebody to help you with your finances, seek a financial advisor. I have a very good one I can recommend. If that's what you need. You want somebody to help you with your money. There are people who can help you do that, and you ain't got to marry them. Again, if you want to walk on a beach, if you want somebody to take vacations with, get you some friends of the same gender and go on trips. But Gabe is different. And I don't want to be, doing wrong, so I want a husband. Think about what you're saying. You want a life partner to go on vacations with. What in the world are you talking about? Are you serious? You want somebody who can make the decision on whether or not to pull the plug on your literal life on the basis of somebody who will go to a museum with you? Are you serious? Come on. Marriage. Do you understand? They're going to talk to your spouse. If you're in a coma, they're going to say, she's a vegetable. What do you want to do? They're not going to call your grown. I keep telling y'all, they're not calling your grown kids. They're calling your spouse. Period. And so you want to marry this person because you want somebody to argue with every day? Pick a fight with your neighbors. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Gabe said pick a fight. I was kidding. I'm joking. Okay, seriously, let me be serious for a second. It's 10 o'clock. I'm done. It's extremely important that you, my friends, really think about this subject. If your intention is to get married, if your intention is not to get married, not a big deal. Yeah, I said it. But if your intention is to get married, make this one of the priorities on your list. And I told you in my write-up, I tell you in my close, right under finance. Yeah. Yeah. And when do I think you should start? If there's any hope, dream, aspiration to get married, start right now. Hopefully you're already started. The moment you're listening to this, I don't care when you're listening, if you want to get married again, and I don't care if you're on the fence about marriage, go ahead and start asking yourself the same things I've posed. If you need some advice, now if you're not at the point of getting married, you don't need advice, you just want to have a conversation, I understand that. But if you are actually in a relationship that's been 6 months, a year, and you guys are really close, and you think there's a possibility, so you want to get some specific advice, I offer this from time to time. Sometimes people take it. Contact me. Now, no, I do work a full-time job, so I can't just be on the phone, and I get up at 3:30, 3:45 in the morning to go to the gym. True. But it doesn't mean I'm busy 24/7. Don't do that either. Contact me. I'll schedule a time with you, and we can have a conversation. Now, before we do that, here's my requirement. Come prepared to be open. Don't come trying to hedge and ask me my business and think you can just, I'll tell you my business and then you just do what I'm saying. No. I'm not saying I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about your personal life. I'm saying come prepared to be open. Here first, really. Here second. Already come ready to listen because you got your mind ready to hear. Your mind is like ears, we got to hear. Come ready to be willing to talk, willing or chat, or however we do it. Ready. Or if you have a counselor or somebody you trust. Now, I'm a little leery with pastor. Look, and I've been a pastor. I am a minister, but let me say this respectfully. I'm a little leery of religious individuals, and let me tell you why. Because of what I said in the beginning. Sex is such a taboo subject, especially for older men and women in ministry. They could have been married 60 years, and they'll give you when you get married speech. No, you need to have somebody who's willing to listen to you and not just give you, and I put it in my write-up, not just give you, wait on the Lord Jesus and all of that. No, you need somebody who can talk to you respectfully and candidly. And unfortunately, believe it or not, pastors are not necessarily the best to go to. They are real good when you want to know what Genesis chapter 1 means. Exceptional when you want to understand the biblical principles. Well, some are. But when it comes to this particular subject, I'm sorry to say, but some of them are so prudish, they're so wound so tight because they're so afraid of sounding unholy, unrighteous. Apparently, they've never read Songs of Solomon. But anyway, I digress. They're so wound tight that they're going to just end up putting that on you. And they're just going to create a heavy burden. Already, you got a heavy burden, and this is going to make it worse. Now, am I saying I'm super free and super liberal? No. I'm just willing to have the conversation. Counsel is what I get paid to do. They don't call it that on my job, but it's what I do. And everybody knows it because everybody says it. They know that's what I do. I counsel. So you come to me, I'm going to deal with you professionally. Even if we know each other, I'm going to deal with you professionally because that's what I do. Now, if you want a professional licensed counselor, because I could give you pastoral counsel, but if you want a professional licensed counselor, I feel you. I got a couple of them that I can potentially recommend you to, and then you make the contacts yourself. All right, I'm over time, but I wanted to get that in. Look, I'm with you. I'm for you to have a healthy, intimate life. I've been there. I've been married multiple times, so don't try to guess which situation was what. I've been in multiple situations, and so I know the range of this stuff. I know the frustrations personally. I know the frustrations from my spouses. I'll do it that way, spouses. I know it. I've heard it. I've had these very, very tough conversations. Very, very, very tough. And so I know that the path I put you on, some of you, I put you on this path. Others, I've encouraged you along the way. It's going to be a little difficult, but I'm pulling for you. And I'm with you. Till next week. And we'll chat again. Have a good one.